10 by 10, and I have them lined up edge to edge so that they're all the same, okay? So I'm gonna put plaster on them and then a little bit of color, and I want them all to be really close to the same. So this is why they're all lined up like this. So I am going to use, I was thinking about using this smaller plaster knife or palette knife, but I think since we need to do all three at once, oh yeah, Lynette, go turn it inside out right now. Go save your plaster. But I think instead, so it goes a little faster, I'm gonna use this larger palette knife. I get this at Hobby Lobby. It's like regular price, $8, but I always buy them half price. And I have so many. I have so many of these things. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get started. I'm gonna kind of push this over. I think I am. There's something under here, glass. I'm gonna push this over. Actually, I'm gonna stack. I'm gonna stack, and we'll do one, do one, then we'll line them up to do our color so that we ensure that they're all the same. So I'm gonna just go into my Venetian plaster. Don't forget, Lowe's Venetian plaster is what I'm using. Yeah, they only sell it by the gallon, and it's like $50 for the gallon, but it lasts forever. It does a lot of art. So I just load my palette knife, and I am going to just spread. And even if I have a few little skippy spots, I don't even mind, okay? I'm not trying to be 100% perfect. No art is perfect. No, nothing in nature is perfect. We're not perfect, so don't expect your art to be. Okay, so that went pretty fast. So I've got this one completely covered. I'm glad it went fast because I don't want my plaster to dry before we start adding our color. So I'm gonna do this one. This is number 2. I'm hot. It's kind of hot in here. So I'm just getting my plaster on. I was gonna just pre-plaster all of these and then come in and do the finished octopus, but I really thought you guys might want to see this process too, because when this dries, I'm going to show you tomorrow how beautiful it is, because this plaster, because I'm putting it on thicker than like a Venetian plaster application, this plaster is going to crackle on this canvas and make a really cool finished look. Okay, let me move this one. We have one more. Just put it right there. And then we'll line them up. Hey, Sheila. We'll line them up and add our color. So, did everybody get my message that I was going live today at 6 o'clock? Yes? Or are you just surprised to be here? So, hang on. So, you see that I'm just going in all directions. I'm going pretty fast. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not worrying about covering every little square inch. If I have a little skippy spots, I'm not worrying about it too much. I'm not worrying about the texture being similar or anything like that. Mostly just trying to make sure it's not hanging over the edge. So we're done with that, okay? So you can see kind of close up how it's really not perfect at all. It's just a nice texture. So I'm gonna put my plaster away. You're gonna have to give me 2 seconds to get my plastic back in because I don't want my stuff to dry out. So give me just a minute. Ugh. Okay, so now I'm going to use my smaller palette knife and I'm gonna line these suckers back up because I really want the color to be, what am I doing? I want the color to match. Okay, so all 3 pieces lined up Really nice. So this is the fun part. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Waterfall Cascade by Sir Delta. Okay, and I am just going to squirt some of it on my palette. You know, you're not gonna be able to see my palette because the canvases are taking up the entire screen, but that's okay, I'll show you as I go. So all I'm doing is adding a little bit of this blue to my palette, as well as a little bit of Anita's white, just white acrylic paint. And this is a dirty palette. I like to use them until they're unusable, but here's my white and here's my blue. So I'm just gonna take some blue on the back of my palette knife, and I am going to about, I don't know, the bottom 2/3, I'm just gonna make a line, okay? Make a line of blue. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Let's just make a line. And same for this one. I may be a little out of vision on this one. And that's okay too. Just bring it down a little. On this one, oops, I need a little more. Okay. Now, where's my towel? Ugh. Okay, so I have this line going across all 3 of my pieces. I'm gonna clean off my palette knife a little bit, and I'm gonna get into some of that white. Okay, just load the back side of your palette knife with that white. And I'm gonna come above and just add in a little bit of white on the top side. And we're gonna manipulate this a little bit too. So I'm just kind of getting started. Sweating so bad. Oh, I just dug my fingernail in too. Hang on. I dug my fingernail right into that plaster. So I'm cleaning off my palette knife as well. Let me clean that up. So I'm gonna get more white. I'm gonna go below. Now I don't know if you can tell, but I am also kind of going into the blue a little. So we'll go white again. White again. Now I'm gonna just fuss with it, okay? So I'm gonna take my dirty palette knife, and I am literally just gonna go horizontally and blend these colors out a little. Yeah. So I'm adding a little bit of blue into the uncolored areas just by hitting my palette knife inside that blue and just bring it up a little. And then I'm gonna move this one over a little bit. I'm gonna clean that edge up too. This is what happens when you have them edge to edge. Just clean that up a little. Now I don't wanna get this too far away because I still wanna see what I have. So I'm just do the same thing. I'm just gonna pull, and don't take too much time doing this because your plaster is gonna start to dry up, guys. Okay, it's gonna start to dry on the top, and then I don't know if you can see right here, but it's gonna start to pull and kind of make a funny texture. So don't take too long doing this. Practice maybe, I just did it again. Practice maybe one at a time. So they're still nice and coordinated. I'm gonna get a little bit of white to come up here because that's a little dry. So we'll clean that up a little. So they still look like they belong together. Clean that up. Move that over. Let's see if we can get this one inside the screen. Yes, you can see. And we're gonna do it again. I'm just gonna run through my blue. And you can just, you know, you don't have to use these colors. You can use a teal. You can use more blue, less blue. Blend it out however. I just got a little crazy there. However, just keep futzing with it until you like it. That's what I like to say. All right. So then you bring some of this blue up, clean up that edge. It's kind of messy when you're working fast. When you have to work fast like this, it can get a little messy. Just clean those up before it dries. Now let me stand up. Is it freezing? I don't know why. I want to stand up now and kind of look down on all three of the canvases and make sure that they all kind of coordinate together. And they do. None of them are exactamundo, but they're all very similar. Now, bring in Mr. Octopus. We'll let this one dry. Okay, so I want to talk to you first about these tentacles, okay? How I made the tentacles. Now, you guys watched me make like the roses where I took a round vase and then nipped off little bits of glass so that they were curved, okay? You have to kind of do it sideways. So this is remnants of an old vase that I had. It was a kind of a big vase. So this is the curved side of that vase. Okay, so to make my tentacles, I just used my scoring tool. Okay, because if you just use your nippers like we did for our roses, you're just gonna get little small, maybe 1.5 inch pieces. So what I did was take my scoring tool, and you always wanna score on the inside curve, not the outside, okay? So you wanna score on the inside of that curve. So I'm gonna take my scoring tool and I will rock the piece of glass as I go. Oh my gosh, you can just totally see my whole lap, can't you? I'm gonna have to fix that. Anyway, so I'm gonna start at the edge and I'm gonna score right along that line. I'm going really slow so I don't mess up. And I rock the glass as I score. So now I have a score line. You can kind of see it right here along the edge of that glass piece. Now what I like to do, because this glass is kind of thick, what I'm gonna do is take that tip, that hard nose on my scoring tool, and I'm gonna tap all along on the opposite side, okay? So I'm having trouble finding the camera. So I scored on the inside. I'm gonna tap on the outside, and that's gonna help run that score line. I know it's noisy. So then I can take my breakers and I'm very lightly gonna squeeze right on that line. Listen for it to go crack. Oop, I heard the crack. So I'm gonna flip it around, come on to this side, do it again, and look at there. What I have is a kind of a semicircle piece of glass. So it's like a glass strip with a curve. So that is how you make your tentacles, okay? So we'll move right along to, let me put all my tools away. We'll move right along to our octopus. Hang on, let me do one thing to get out of my lap. Okay, so I think that's a little bit better. So what I did for my octopus is I took a pencil and I sketched, trying to find a blue pencil. So I took just a watercolor pencil and I sketched over in the corner because he's going to be kind of sideways. Hey, Dawn, how are ya? So I sketched just a little oval shape, and I'm going to show this to you close up. Just a little oval shape of an octopus head. Can you see that? Can you see where I sketched his little head? Because that helped me determine where I was going to put all of my tentacles. So I cut out just a whole bunch of these little curved glass strips. And then you want to hone them, okay? Because these are sharp, so you want to hone them with your honing tool. And then I started just playing around with, you know, having some curved one way, some curved the other. This one is overlapping so that you want 8 tentacles. An octopus has 8 tentacles, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you kind of want them to be random. So, you know, this one's curved this way, this one's curved that way, this one is curved both ways. And I left it on my canvas because it literally took me about 2 hours to figure this out. I kept like moving things around and placing them and replacing them. And once I got it on here, I was like, heck no, sisters, I am not taking these pieces off. So just, you want to first kind of shape out your little egg head, your little octopus head, and then kind of lay out all your pieces where you want them to be. And you want all the tops of them kind of scooched together and touching. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my glue. This is Aleene's clear tacky glue. How did you get the one to go both ways? It's 2 pieces of glass. So you can see this piece is curved this way, and then I just cut off a piece of that at the end and just flipped it around and just laid it the other way. Does that make sense? So yeah, if you want, and see how this one overlaps this one? So just take the long piece, cut it with your scoring tool, and then just extend it across the other one's leg. So yeah, to make it go both ways, you just need to take the long piece, cut a little section off, and then just flip it around so that it goes both ways. All right, so what I'm gonna do really quick is take my glue and I'm gonna outline Ollie Octopus's head because we wanna keep all that glass. We want him to keep his head about him. All right. So I'm just gonna add a little glue there, and we're gonna come back and add a little bit of glue to those tentacles as well, but I just wanna make sure that, hey Teresa, I wanna make sure we have enough of what I have here. This is like the last remnants of the Azuria Reflective that I have. I have some on order, but it's super hard to find these days. Almost all glasses for some reason. I think we're using up the world's glass supply. So I'm just going to start applying it, and I want it to be kind of puffy, okay? I want it to have some depth to it, so I'm not applying just a thin layer of glass. I want it to have some dimension, okay? I want it to be 3-dimensional. So I am just gonna keep piling that glass on inside where we sketched his little head until I am pleased with how much is on there. So we'll just keep playing, keep piling on, keep the shape of his little head. Put some right in there at his neck where his tentacles are. So I am gonna pile up pretty high. I really want it to have a good bit of dimension. Let me see. Get in there. All right. Oh, I forgot his eyeballs on the other table, but we'll get those in a minute. So Need a little tiny sliver right there. Boom. So now he has a head. It was a round vase, Ashley. A round vase that I scored and cut into circular shapes. Okay, so there are tentacles. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue here and there just to make sure they stay in place. And then I'm going to get up and go get their eyeballs. So I just add a little bit of glue to that side that touches the canvas. So these are so cute, aren't they? See the curve? So add glue. Make sure you're getting back where you want them, and that the tip of that tentacle is, oh my goodness, Debbie, you're kidding me. Hobby Lobby? They don't have vases at Hobby Lobby? I haven't been in forever, but I assure you, I have probably 30 vases in my art room. So I'm not lacking in vases. Try Goodwill, okay? Me too, Katrina. Try the Goodwill and see if they may have something. So I'm just gonna keep adding little bits of glue to my tentacles so they stay in place. We'll get this one. And if you cut a piece, like see how this one's cut to overlap this tentacle, make sure when you put them all together that it's lined up nicely so that it's not, so it doesn't look like his leg broke off. See what I'm saying? It's lined up really nicely there. One more. We'll put that, stick it right back in where it belongs. And we'll get this one. So this is just a little insurance so that the glass pieces don't fall over while we are working. So this one. I love the sea life too. I'm gonna see some sea life up close and personal next week. I am so looking forward. Nina, well, that's a good question. And for the most part, if you scratch the glass and it doesn't scrape off, then that is probably colored through and through. The problem that you'll find with the kinds of glass that scrape off is anything frosted or red glass, and sometimes even yellow. Most vases, and you can also look on the bottom of the vase. If the vase is colored through and through, the bottom will be colored as well. Oftentimes, if it is just a painted glass, the bottom will be clear. So, yeah, it'll scrape off, Nina, if it's painted. It'll scrape right off with your fingernail. Okay, so I think I'm very pleased with that, but now our little fella, I think he needs some eyeballs, and I left him over here. I left him on my other table, so give me 1 second, and I'm gonna grab his eyes. So what I'm going to use for his eyes are just some little beads. I collect these beads from, somebody tell Patty why painted glass is a problem. It isn't really, unless, you know, because you can always like spray paint and repair. But if you, when you break painted glass, then the paint scrapes off and then it doesn't look beautiful. Okay, so trying to decide eyeballs. Oh, I like that one. I have to find this twin. So these are just vase beads. Or not vase beads, they're jewelry beads. I like to get like the little string beads and use them in my art. And I love to use, look at these. I have to show you these. These are fantastical. Look at this string of beads. Look at the little ovals. Are those not fantastical? Love them. So these are kind of a bluish green. I'm not sure I like them 100%. I was gonna use black, but I can also use pearl. Let's look at how pearl looks so you guys can help me decide. Okay, so I'm gonna put this down. So this is, hang on. This is kind of a green looking bead, and this is like a white pearl bead. Which one do you think? I kind of like the green one better. It kind of blends in. It doesn't, you know, it's not as much contrast. What do you think? Should we stick with the green? Yes, great seahorse eyes. I think I'm gonna stick with the green ones. The pearl is too white. So I'm gonna add just a dollop of glue. Oops, rolling away. I'm gonna add just a dollop of glue down here where his eyes are gonna go so that they will stay in place and not be rolling around like they just did. And these are string beads, so they have holes. They have the little hole in it, so I like to make sure that the holes aren't straight up. I don't want to see that hole. So I make sure they're side to side and not sticking straight up in. Oh, I like him so much. Look at his little eyes. I have to stand up and look over. Yes, he is super cute. I need one little tiny piece of glass right here. There's a little naked spot. Oops. It's stuck to my finger because I have glue on my finger. All right, so I'm super happy with him. Now, we can't have an octopus without bubbles because I like bubbles on everything. Is this not super cute? So basically, it's really just about finding yourself a vase that is round. The bigger the vase, the bigger the curve. The smaller the vase, the smaller and tighter the curve. So for things like tentacles, you want a bigger vase. And for things like roses and small things, you want a smaller vase. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some bubbles. Gotta have bubbles. And this one is ready to resin. Ready to resin, okay? So I'm gonna scoot Mr. Crab over and we're gonna focus on our octopus. I am going to mix up some resin and I'm gonna go ahead and, bubbles are always good, you're correct. I'm gonna mix up 8 ounces because I don't think I need that much, but I also have more fish that I can resin. 4 ounces, that's probably excessive, but we're mixing it anyway. And I will let you know, crabs blow bubbles too, right? I will let you know after I do the octopus how much resin it took for him. So you will know a 10 by 10, and then we will do the same for our crab. Somebody tell me what time is it? So I'm gonna mix up 8 ounces, which is 4 ounces of hardener. Whoop. Yes, I will, Jean. He's not quite dry, but I'll show it. And he's not finished yet either, so we'll do him when I get back from vacay. No way, Colette. Oh, I hope you bought every drop of it. Okay, so now I'm going to do my 4 ounces of resin. So we have 4 ounces of hardener, 4 ounces of resin. Slow down, Cindy. Whoa, sister. And we need to mix. So, where's my little stir stick? Here it is. I think Rima is here. Rima, baby, are you here? Yes. Wow, Colette, you go, girl. Rima. Okay, I'm going to start mixing. Somebody please time me 3 minutes on the timer. I don't know if Rima's here or not. She checked in, but I don't know for sure if she's still here. If she's not, it'll be a miracle because she's always here. Thank you, ladies. So just let me know. Now's the time to ask me a question. I have 3 minutes of boring stirring to, so I have 3 minutes. I can answer any questions if you have them. Rima stepped away just in time. So y'all have to yell at me like Rima does too, so I'll feel like I'm at home. So our canvas is a 10 by 10, and I colored them with Venetian, I applied a coat of Venetian plaster, and then I kind of used my palette knife and cleaned, applied, see, I read and was talking at the same time. I applied a little bit of the Calypso blue, no, it wasn't Calypso, it was Waterfall blue, and a little bit of white, and kind of just smeared it to make the look that you see on the background. Your resin cups, you can just take a paper towel and wipe out the cup when you're done. You can also, like, sometimes I use baby wipes or these wipes that G sent me that they are presenting to the world now. So I use those just to wipe out my cup, okay? I'm stirring. Somebody else asked something and I don't know. Yes, Katrina. Art resin is a non-hazmat resin, okay? It's not, no VOCs, no COV, no BPA, non-hazmat, okay? So it is made specifically for art and it's made in the USA, but they do ship all over the world. So that's why I use it, because I have used some stinky, horrible stuff before. Now you do need to follow the directions on the label with regards to mixing and with regards to proper ventilation, proper temperature, etc., okay? So make sure you read the directions and you read the caution and what to do and what not to do so that you don't injure yourself or get ill. I always use gloves. I recommend that you wear a mask. You know, we're all about the mask these days, aren't we? And eye protection. So I have less than 1 minute. Yeah, you have to use respirator. I hate that for you, Colette. I do understand. And if you have health problems, I would recommend that you do that. Or at least, you know, an N95 mask or something along those lines. So let's see. Sandy, there is a video in the Shattered Circle on how to cut strips of glass out of vase. I did it maybe a month ago in a Facebook Live. So maybe you go look there, or maybe somebody can point it out to you. So let's see. I'm stirring. I'm sorry. If I missed your question, I promise you I will come back and answer your question. Sometimes they go by so fast or I miss them because I'm working. So if you ask me a question and I didn't answer, I promise I will come back and do so. Yes, Patricia, that's great. It doesn't bother me either. The top I have on. Patty, this was a Stitch Fix top. I do every other month Stitch Fix. And this is a top they sent me last summer. I'm done. So, okay. Stop, time's up, time's up, time's up. Claire, if you will private message me, I will send you a link. I did shut it down, but for anyone who is interested in joining the Shattered Circle, I will send you a private link to join us because we are still taking members. We are just not like in your face about it. So, hey, I'm good, Patricia. How are you? Look at everybody telling me to stop. Stop. Okay, I'm stopping. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is elevate my canvas. So I have 2 blocks. Listen to everybody yelling at me. I have 2 blocks, so I'm going to tuck those under. I would love to have you, Claire. You just send me a private message. I'm going to tuck these up under my canvas. And the reason I do this is because just in case we have any of the resin that drips over the side, we don't want it to glue our canvas, our art piece, down to our table, because that will happen. So elevate your canvas and make sure that your block is tucked up under the edge of your canvas a little so that it also doesn't glue your block to your canvas as well. So make sure it's kind of tucked up under there. Oh, no, it's not really a problem if you stir for more than 3 minutes. The open time on art resin is 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how much resin you mix at once. The more you mix, the shorter open time you have. So mixing past 3 minutes is not a problem. You just don't want to, mix so much that you're biting into your open time. Okay, so I am going to just start drizzling on my glass bits first. And I always explain this because I think it's important, because we almost always have new people here visiting. So the reason I start with my glass first and the reason I drizzle. I drizzle so that the resin hits the top layer of glass, because this glass is raised up pretty high. It's several layers of glass just kind of piled up. And so what I want it to do is hit the top layers of glass, and then it kind of seeps down between all the glass bits and glues everything to your canvas surface. Now, if you can see, all around the outside edge of his little octopus head, it's starting to move out away from the glass. Okay, this is why we start with the glass first, because now I can use that resin that's seeping out to help finish the flat parts of my octopus or my canvas without using excess resin. Okay, because resin is not cheap, and it is my goal in life to teach you how to make art pieces without using an excessive amount of resin. Okay, it is, a lot of people will, just dump the resin on and it just runs off the sides, and it runs, and it's just a waste of resin, and it's a waste of money. And I'm not about that life. I'm not about wasting money. So my goal is to help you create art pieces with as least amount of resin as needed. Very small amounts. I can make a gallon of resin go really far. I'm a pro at it. So right now I'm drizzling on resin onto my little pieces of glass that are serving as his tentacles. And I do this kind of methodically because I do want to make sure, even though I honed all these strips, I do want to make sure all those edges are covered with resin. So if you hit that top edge, it will also kind of run down the sides, and it will cover all that glass completely. Yes, it does, Jean. If you're working in the heat, you know, they want you, the instructions will tell you to you want to be kind of in 70 degree weather. So the hotter it is, I try to keep my studio at like 72, because if it's super hot, you don't want to work in a hot garage. You know, 80 degrees, your resin is going to start tacking up really fast and become really gummy and icky, and you are not going to have a good piece of art with that. So that's why I say always read the manufacturer's instructions, the directions on things like resin and such, because they're there for a reason. The rules are there for a reason, and so you do want to follow their instruction. So I'm almost done covering these little tentacles. Aren't they cute? I haven't made an octopus in a hot minute, so I was kind of looking forward to it as well. 150? Oh, girl, you need an AC. You need a fan, something. Goodness gracious. So, keep it on, kind of rubbing and making sure I have resin on the sides as well. One more tentacle. One more. Make sure we get it on the outside edge. Now I can just take my resin and drizzle a little bit here and there on the flat surface. And then I'm going to use my hands. We're going to play with our hands. Actually, I'm going to set this down. I'm going to use my stick to kind of try to move in between these tentacles. I almost said testicles, guys. What is wrong with me? I've lost my ever-loving mind. I mean, seriously, come on. Because I have fat fingers, and I don't know that I can 100% get my finger up there in that little tight spot where it meets his neck. So I'm going to use my stick, and then I'll use my fingers when I can. Your husband is HVAC and he didn't even give you air? He is grounded. He is so grounded. Tell him he's grounded. Okay, so I'm just kind of working it in to make sure it's, oops, get back where you belong. Where it needs to be. Make sure there's resin between all the tentacles. And then I'm gonna start using my hands. I know, I thought it, and then I was almost said it, and then I said it anyway to tell you that I almost said it. It's like, seriously? I thought about that the minute it came out of my mouth. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What in the world? Okay, so I'm gonna use my hands, okay? So I'm just gonna use my fingers to kind of spread out any excess where it needs to be. I'm gonna flip my little bubble. I like it to be flat side down. So let me go over here. And flip my bubble. And he is about done. Flip my bubble. I know that's anal, but I can't help myself. It's just how it is. Okay, so Mr. Octopus is finished. Now what I'm gonna do, he does need torching, but what I'm gonna do is set him aside and we're gonna torch them. We're gonna torch them both at the same time. So I am gonna move him over. Torch him. Let's get our torch. Dadgummit. Never, ever touch this part of the torch like I just did. So I'm gonna hit him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Really quick. And we're gonna move him. How cute is he? I'm gonna hold him up really close to can. I mean, really as close as I can, not too can. Okay, so here is our cute little octopus. Is he not adorable? I love him.